Meh.
I already told you don't do anything I wouldn't do twice, so...
We're gonna crawl away and call to him.
It's kind of been messed up this year. This was all over water earlier this year, or last year. We went until fall deer season. It's just, their stuff's coming back, their stuff's growing again.
Stopped, and I was looking at footage from when we shot at that buck up there on top of the hill. And he said, just grab his gun real quick. I was like, wait. And I was trying to get the camera going, and I was like, wait, it's right there. And I was like, wait. Then it started running. We're not going to be able to shoot it. And I was like, meh. If you stop and he blaster, dude, he's absolutely gone. Yeah. And then we went down there and got her, and she's just sitting on the edge of the field. Hi, welcome to the Unpopular Opinion Podcast. I'm Tim.
I'm Isaac.
And in this podcast, we'll be talking about stuff typically that you'd see people having debates on. Like, is social media ruining hunting? Is it easier to punch a tag on public land or private land? But today, in our pilot episode, if you will, we're just going to kind of do a comparison, if you will. Does that sound pretty accurate?
I think it does. We're going to do, crossbows versus compound bows versus recurve bows. What's the advantages of some, what's the advantages of others, why people use them, and what some people's opinions are on them.
That's fair. Yeah.
Including our personal ones.
And they're just opinions, so take that for what you will. Alright, well, give us a little background about yourself, since it is our pilot episode.
So I've been hunting probably since I could walk. Dad would take me out there with him, fishing, everything outdoors. Still love to do it. I'm in college right now trying to finish that up. Still go hunting every chance I can get.
Pretty much. Do you prefer gun hunting, bow hunting, shotgun? Like, what's your weapon of choice, I guess?
It depends. I've really gotten into upland bird hunting, so your pheasant and stuff. So I guess right now, where I'm at in life, I prefer my shotgun.
Okay. For me, I guess I really started as a young child too. My dad took me every chance he could. Typical dad, always looking for that first opportunity. You get to take your son out. I mean, I took mine out really for the first time this year, and he's 3. So yeah. I'd say we probably sat on our dad's lap a time or two around the same age. I'd say right now my weapon of choice is probably my rifle. I haven't really dabbled too much into bow hunting, or I haven't really got too serious into it, but I look forward to getting more serious into it as my bow setup gets better. Right now I just got like a hand-me-down that I'm making work.
My hand-me-down is dropping deer.
So,
and I've been shooting bows since I was about 4. Dad would go and sight his in, and so I had a little recurve just to kind of learn with and mess with, and slowly got a little more accurate with it over time.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, that's actually a pretty good segue into what we're going to be talking about, though. I mean, I've never hunted with anything other than a crossbow and a vertical bow. I've never done anything like a compound. I've never done anything with a recurve. So, I mean, I've never even as a kid, playing around in the backyard with a recurve.
You got to look at it. There's an archery course in a lot of schools, and they're using the normally the Genesis kind of like introductory bow. A lot of people use it for bow fishing because it's a lighter setup. It's pretty good, and it's just like recurves are getting phased out over time. I think the only people that really use them are the people who are committed to using them, and it takes a lot of skill to use them because you don't get a sight, you don't get a break.
So what do you just like aim down the arrow?
You kind of, I don't know anymore. I started
Feel it?
using, yeah, that's the best way I could recommend it. But it takes a little bit more effort because if it's a 100-pound bow, you have to sit there and hold that 100 pounds at your anchor point the whole time. Unlike your compound where it breaks over, gives you a little rest, and then you release it.
That's fair. So I know though that like recurves are for your more traditional hunters, like the purists, if you will. They're like, you're not a real bow hunter if you don't use a recurve.
I don't think I've ever met anybody like that.
Really?
I'm sure they're out there though.
Like that. When I think of that though, I think of like trolls on the internet. You know, like you read through and somebody's like, oh yeah, must be you're a real man who can shoot an 80-pound draw with a 80% let off, and you got your fancy $400 sight and stuff.
I can't afford any of that.
No, me neither. But I feel like that's when you see the argument of the recurve, like how easy it must be to kill a deer with blah blah blah.
Yeah.
When you don't have this on a recurve.
And I do think that is a part of it. Is it's kind of the recurve guys look at the compound guys and they go, man, look at all that fancy stuff, and the compound guys look at the crossbow guys and go, well, that ain't real bow hunting. That's just using a rifle with a string.
Now I've definitely heard that. I've gotten crap for it too.
Oh, I've given you plenty.
I know, that's what I was thinking of when I said I got crap for it.
Normally, there's very few instances where I say to use a crossbow. It's like if you're introducing someone who's younger and can't hold that bow for as long. Or if you're older or you've had shoulder surgery or something that has affected your ability to hold a bow back, and there's no shame in it. Except for you.
So, I guess let's segue into that though. Like, what scenario in your mind do you think you would use a recurve bow?
Just to look cool.
Just to look cool?
Yeah. I don't think I could hit the broadside of a barn with it. Man, it'd make one hell of a story if I could get something with it.
I feel like in everything I've seen on the internet, like YouTube or whatever, when you see a recurve bow hunter, usually it seems like everything's 20 yards and in. I mean, they're really close up, maybe 25.
Well, and I think that's because, you know, with your compounds and stuff, you have a sight, and you can set it at different yardages. And I'm sure you could do notches or something with your recurve if you did it a certain way.
I can see that.
I mean, really, you need someone who actually hunts with one to tell you what their idea is.
So, like, I guess, and then you gotta look at the shooting technique too, though. You know, like whenever you get a crossbow, you're punching a trigger, right? And I guess you could punch a trigger too with a compound with your release. But I mean, with your recurve, it's all fingers. You know. So I mean, it's a lot more technique. I feel like.
I think so, and I think it does take a little bit more because you're holding it with the tips of your fingers that way that, you know, because you don't want your fingers getting caught.
Yeah.
And knocking it off target and stuff.
Very technical.
Yeah. And then compounds are kind of just, they're compounds. You know, it's got the breakover point, you got a sight, you have a release, and some people don't use releases.
Yeah. RIP your fingertips though.
Yeah, again. But it's, you know, it takes skill. I think it's a lot easier to hunt with a compound due to the fact that you can, it's more like a rifle. So if you're used to hunting with a rifle, the compound is there.
That's fair. And then you get into the crossbow though. I mean, you've got to scope more often than not.
Whew.
That's gonna be like one of those things where like you hear you know all the TV screens where it'd be like and have all the colors and stuff on there. That's gonna be one of those moments.
Yeah.
But
I'd leave that part in. Just let them have just that you explaining that.
But anyways, you get back to it. You know, and with the crossbow, I mean, you've got, at least on mine, you got a red dot scope or whatever you want to call it, ACOG. It's got the 3 dots, and when you sight it in with like a compound, you got to set in your 20 or whatever your lowest yardage pin is, and then you got to readjust for your 30 and readjust for your 40 or however many pins you have. You know, with your crossbow, you sight in your top one, and it automatically calculates the bottom ones. So I mean, some people
that's nice.
cheating right there.
Yeah.
And then you get a real slow, steady squeeze of the trigger. I mean, those things are accurate.
But you also take into account they're heavy. A lot of them are heavier than your bows.
Oh, 100%.
So I don't think anybody abuses them. The people that use them are normally going further ranges.
Yeah, typically.
And, injuries matter. Past, present, whatever. Or if you're just too small to pull back a bow, because it's not. I mean, you're talking 50 pounds normally. Was it 45 to 50? I
think to hunt in Missouri, the lowest poundage draw, I'll say 45, give or take.
Yeah, and I guess for us it's not anything, but we've been shooting since, especially if your muscles aren't used to that motion.
I would say whenever it comes to your two most common, you're going to see crossbows and compounds.
Yes.
But everybody gives the crossbows crap for being cheating, And I think that in most cases, if you are able and capable of using a compound bow,
you'll use it.
You probably should use it. I get the argument of cheating in the aspect of you're perfectly fine, capable, and able. You just choose not to. And I mean, I just feel like, I don't know, what's your excuse at that point to not use one?
I'll tell you one thing, if I'm a turkey hunt with a bow, it'll be with a crossbow. I ain't playing that game with a compound.
Yeah, well, when it comes to deer hunting, I'm more like I would prefer to use a compound bow. Mm-hmm. Now this year, and this is where when I kind of, it's like I'm gonna play devil's advocate for the crossbow, yeah, because I just didn't have time to practice with my compound bow this year. I did not feel comfortable making a shot, and I felt like if I did have to use my compound bow, I'd be more apt to injure a deer versus make a lethal shot.
Well, and you took your son with you too, and that's I think that is another factor to look at, is if you're taking a younger person with you, do you want something that's going to be easier, where maybe you can get a shot off a little quicker in case they're antsy or something like that.
A little more stable. Don't need as much room, because when you draw,
And if he's in your space, you can't get that draw. But with a crossbow, you can tell them, hey, don't stand in front of it, stand here, and get it up and get the shot off. So I think there's scenarios, for as much crap as I give you for using it, there's scenarios where it is the best option.
That's fair. And you look at the way I hunt too, we hunt a lot out of blinds. I'm not saying you can't shoot a vertical bow out of blinds, because people do it all the time.
Yeah, my dad did it when I was 5, so.
But when you talk about having a little one in with your space with you, then it's like, now you're really getting into your space, because I hunt with my cameras and stuff. I film all my hunts. Then you got your packs, your cameras, stuff for him, plus you're bow.
losing space.
Heaters.
Cheaters.
Cheaters. But it's just like, I felt like this year, although it sucked not to be able to use my compound bow, it just made more sense. Now, to your point of them being heavy, gosh, my crossbow,
I'm aware.
Carrying that thing 3 miles to go do public land hunting
is not an option.
3 miles in, 3 miles out, that sucked. I did it 5 times.
Oh my god.
And I was feeling it at the end, because I would walk in, and it's cold in the morning. I remember going out there with frost on the ground. I'm in my heavy duty gear. And I walk out there. The first time I went, I was not. I was in lightweight stuff, because I was like, I know I'm going to get hot when I get out there. I'm going to get sweaty. So I went in pretty lightly dressed, and I sat down, and I'm like, whew, okay, I'm good. And then I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there.
And it got colder and colder and colder.
And by the time the sun came up, I was like, I wish I had my jacket. And then the second time I went out there, I dressed super heavy.
And it was too heavy.
And I got out there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. And and then I was wet from sweating, and I got cold anyways.
Yeah.
But
I think that between compound and crossbow, it really is kind of a toss-up. Because it's personal preference, but it's also what can you realistically do, what can you realistically afford. Because, I mean, the price, I mean, here's the thing. I got 2 hunting bows, both hand-me-downs. I got a Hoyt and a PSE.
both pretty good brands, though.
Well, and they're older style, so they're longer. But, yeah, I might need to restring them here in a few years, but other than that, but I could tell you, new, I couldn't afford them.
Oh.
Where I'm at now,
Dude,
no.
that new Matthews bare bones, the year they're released, I think they're pushing like 1,000.
Yeah,
That's
and
bare bones.
And I think that's a reason that a lot of people aren't getting into bow hunting as much as they were in the past.
That's fair.
Because you can buy a $300 Savage with a scope already on it in a 223, 243, 30-06.
6.5, whatever, yeah.
Well, I was trying to stay to the cheaper side of the rounds. But, and you can get into hunting with that, an orange hat, and an orange vest. Versus the bow, you have to have the bow, the arrows, the broadheads, the release, and the time to practice, which then you need a target.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I screwed up an arrow. I got to go buy another one.
Yep, broadheads. I mean, those aren't cheap either.
No.
I mean, a box of 3 broadheads, you could buy an entire box of 20 of 30-06 or whatever.
And I think that is a factor that is affecting it. But, I mean, the only people that I'm ever going to give crap to be honest, is the Recurve guys. Because I'll look at them and I go, it is 2025. Why are you using such an ancient technology?
That's fair.
And I mean, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, you gotta keep the art alive," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can see that for art. I don't see it being as
practical.
Yeah, as it once was."
No, I agree, 100%.
So, well,
and then you get into, like you said, turkey hunting. If I'm bow hunting for turkeys, which I have done,
I'm using the crossbow. I don't care. I am not sitting there. First off, I don't like turkey hunting anyways.
No, yeah, that's a time for another debate. But
yeah, but I think this is a good spot for us to finish this episode off. We've gotten our points across. Let us know what you all think of the episode, and
we'll be back soon with a real heater on public land versus private land hunting. A little disclaimer: we've tried to film that one when it comes up. Hopefully it'll be the 3rd time. We've had some audio issues, so we're trialing something right now on this one, and then
we'll go from there.
But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this first one. So
y'all have a good night. Eggs, bacon, grits, sausage.
Got my meat in her mouth while she's choking on that
sausage. Hey. Make that the intro. No. This is Tim.
And then you are Isaac.
We should do that differently.